Hello everybody, welcome back to Space Engineers. We've got things being manufactured. This is the last of our queue. We are out of stuff for thruster components, however. We are low on gold and platinum. However, we're only low on the process stuff. We do have a decent amount of platinum. So I've set up 2 of our refineries with platinum, and they're just producing that. We have 2 making uranium, so that should keep us going for power. And then I have 2 making gold. And then that guy's going to go back to making silver once he's done. And hopefully that'll provide what we need to get those either finished or at least started. As of right now, I've loaded everything up into the Triple Z. And you can see we only have 11 thruster components. So the rest of those thruster components have not been made that we need for the ship. And what's that? No, that's in me. So yes, let's continue with what we were doing. Actually, let's grab some, if I can. I parked really close. Okay. Okay. You guy, just get away. Get away. Get away. There you go. Alright. So I'm going to need some of these, I think, is pretty much... Okay, let's get rid of some other things. We need these for thrusters, so why don't we go ahead and start with thruster placement. So I would like to try to do this part. Maybe we'll only put down what we actually need, and then we'll use the rotate feature to do the rest of it. So like we've done this top part, so maybe we could do this next part right here. And I think we want... I have a picture up again. So we want... I don't know if those are in the right spot. There they are. We want 6 thrusters there. And then we'll have the same thing here. Oops. Same thing there. I'm wondering if we should bother doing it or if we should try to make use of the rotate thing sooner rather than later. Because at this point, I think we've almost got down everything we need in terms of individual components. So soon everything is going to rotate around this thing well enough that we don't have to worry about having the wrong part in the wrong place. So let's look at doing that. So things we have to add still that we don't currently have on there is antennas, beacons, and also timer blocks, which I think are on another page. So let's look at where we're gonna put these guys. And we need small tubes to place them. So let's grab a couple of those, or let's grab 10 because it's easier. Okay. So I'm gonna give him 2 antennas. I don't actually know if we're gonna need to. Probably just need 1. But he's just for symmetry's sake, I figured why not. So we'll put 1 there, 1 here. This is technically the top of the craft, or we're gonna designate it the top of the craft. On the bottom, in the same spot, I'm going to put some beacons, and we're going to have 2 of those as well. That will actually be more for a purpose when we get to kind of programming this guy. Not really programming, but setting up his groups and timer blocks and all that stuff to do what we want it to do. But we're going to have one of these beacons kind of used as a mayday of sorts, so it'll flash on and off if this guy kind of gets stuck or something. So that's the benefit of having that second one. Now the rest of the space, let's find those timer blocks, is pretty much just going to be timer blocks. So, what do you need? Interior. Yoink. Okay, let's get rid of thrusters. Or let's take some thrusters. Okay. So the rest, we're going to use a lot of the dead space to put in, yeah, timer blocks. Now these I probably want to put in on all sides, because where these antenna is and the beacon, where they are, they're not going to be on the sides. Instead, we're going to have some more timer blocks. I'm not actually sure how many timer blocks we'll end up needing, but I figure having more is better than not enough. And we had some extra space here in the ship anyway for stuff, so decided to fill that up with the timer blocks, just because they're fairly flexible and allow some pretty cool stuff. So yeah, really I just concern myself with the 2 spots that would be occupied by the antenna, And since we have timer blocks up here, when we rotate the blueprint, it should put them here as well. So we don't actually have to worry about that, and we could not do it just for experimentation purposes. So I'm not going to bother putting those other thrusters down. We'll use maybe the blueprint to do that. Alright, so we need our primary forward thrust are here. And then we have some other ones that I was trying to place before that are in this thing. So down there. Right there. And then I think it's actually right here. Here? Here? And then we already placed that thruster in the middle facing this way, so that's good. Okay. So, from here, I think we could actually take a blueprint. Now this will be interesting. I didn't really consider this part. So I want to treat this as if we're doing it in survival. Even though I kind of planned this out, I want to see if it would work if we kind of took this approach in a survival setting. So I'm going to take a blueprint of what we just built. It's going to include this coupling part, which I think is okay. I don't think that will impact things too much. It might try to get us to weld some buttons in different places when we rotate the thing, but we'll see if that becomes an issue. If this works out, I would like to expand that coupling to do some stuff that you guys have suggested. I believe Crooked Star, you mentioned you had a blueprint for like a crane type thing for blueprints, which I assume, I haven't looked at it, but I assume it's like a pre-built thing with a cockpit that does all the displacement things for the blueprint. So that might be good. Like if we're going to continue to use this to build ships, then maybe it would be worthwhile having a cockpit and its own thrusters to maneuver. And then from within the cockpit, you can manipulate the blueprint to line it up to where you want it to be. And also, if we did that, it might be versatile to put this blueprint in a better location. Because if we want to use it to do what we're about to do, it would probably be ideal if this blueprint was in the center of the ship. So in the space between the two connectors, which wouldn't work really, because then the two connectors wouldn't be connected to each other. But maybe it'd be worthwhile making the connector big enough that it could go around that center pivot point. And then if we build our ships properly, or if we're always building, if we can get the build post, or whatever it's called, the pivot point, if we can get the pivot point of this initial coupling to be in the middle, or orientated in such a way that when we spin it around, it'll be spinning within the axis of that connector, assuming. So right now it's this guy, I assume this is the pivot point for this ship, or for this guy, and that's based off how we originally built him, I think. So if he was hooked up onto a landing gear, if we built him off another ship, I don't remember what I did. But anyway, let's move on. So we'll ignore those complications for right now, and I'll probably try to deal with them later. So let's hit Control B, which should make a new thing, and it should probably be under small ship. There it is, small ship 125. So now what we want to do is access this guy. Can I do it from there? No. Can I do it from there? Yes. Okay, so from the projector, we'll turn him back on. We'll load up small ship 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Multiple grids are not supported, only the largest grid. Oh, okay. Multiple grid. What are you doing over there? What is that one doing? Did I turn on the right projector? Build coupling. Blueprint. Why did it include... Why is it projecting that guy? Because he was originally part of this thing, because we built this thing off of it, but it's not what I just took a blueprint of. So why would he show up? It's like he's showing this part of the grid instead of this guy. Anyway, I'm not too sure. Let me play around and try to figure this out. Okay, I'm going to try one thing. I disconnected the coupling. It looks like it's out of power now, too. Oh, I tried Control Copy. Let's just do that. Okay, 4, 5. And now, why don't I grab a little bit of uranium, and we'll just power up the build post. Let's grab some that isn't in... Okay, that's where all of our stuff is. Let's grab 1 unit and throw it in here. Hopefully that will last this guy a while. Wish I could make it so this thing would not provide power backwards through the coupling, so that uranium wouldn't be used to like try to power the station. Okay, so that's that. Now let's try putting that new blueprint in there. God, that's frustrating. There we go. Blueprint, small, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that's better. So I'm not sure what that did. Maybe you guys could figure that out. Okay, so as we can see, he's upside down at the moment. So he's 180 degrees, which isn't actually a problem. I'm going to go ahead and line him up. This is where having that cockpit would be useful. Might be able to do it via this guy temporarily. I could dock them together again and then control the projector maybe from that ship. But for the time being, I'll just do it manually, and in the future we'll look at providing a better way of doing that. Perfect! Okay. So here we go. It's, oh no, it's off. It's not lined up. I thought I did it properly. I didn't. I'm sorry. Let's bring it back at 1 unit. Projector, horizontal offset. Let's just bring it to 0 then. So this would be easier to manipulate, I think, if I got the thing all kind of exactly where I needed it. The pivot point. If the pivot point was in the center of this ship always, then rotating it around from here on in would be easy. Alright, so as we can see, it wants to replicate what we've already built. So let's go ahead and grab this guy. And we're going to try to weld what we got. And then we're going to rotate the ship 90 degrees, line it back up, and weld again. And then once we're done with that, we'll take a new blueprint, and then we'll start building the armor based off that. And then we can rotate the new one to complete all that stuff as well. So I do believe we are going to run into issues with hitting it. Oh man. Hitting it, and also things taking a very long time to finish. I might end up, I'm not sure, breaking that cargo container to finish welding a lot of those things inside by hand. I might also rip off the face of the ship so that I could quickly weld the stuff inside by hand if this thing isn't doing it properly. But for the time being, let's see how much it will do. Hopefully I don't push it away. I gotta be careful about that. I should probably lock it down. Let's lock it down, and then we'll take a quick break while I weld this together. Okay, it's still going. I think we're almost there. It has struggled. I've helped it along with parts. It's good at putting parts in, but it does seem to take a very long time to complete them. So I'm not sure what the state of everything is in the core there. And I didn't end up getting rid of that to try to help. Sometimes I've run out of parts, so I just put some other things in him. Oh man, he's taking some beatings. Flabatouch. So we ran out of stuff like computers, we ran out of some of the sensor components, so I put some more of that in him. Looks like he has just about everything. Could be missing something. But I think he's close. What I want to do right now is... Oh, now you work. Why are you working now? Maybe it works once I reloaded the world. Okay, I want to keep that disconnected anyway. And now, if I go in here, it should tell us if something is incomplete, like that gyro. Anything else? So it looks like we're almost done. There might be a gyro kind of hidden back there that hopefully, given enough time, this thing will complete. I hope. So with this thing disconnected, what we can now do is take another blueprint of it. And I've done some coloring. So hopefully everything is the color we want it to be once it's all said and done. I find painting is so hard to do after the fact sometimes, because you get pieces of armor that will obstruct other pieces of armor. Hurry up, guy. I almost killed myself again. So we're at 40%, so we should probably build a med bay soon. Yeah, there's something in there. It's going to be easier to get at it right now, though, before we proceed any further, so I'm going to make sure I do get it. Because once we throw on the additional arms, all these additional welders, or not welders, drills, they're going to get in the way. And probably prevent us from getting this guy in there where he needs to be. If it's a gyro, like this line right here that we're looking at, is just conveyors and reactors. The gyros are in this line. So probably the best way for us to help out would be to remove this stuff in the front and then try to get at them. We probably have to gut the remote control and everything else to do it. But let's go ahead and do that, because this is going to take a while. So let's see if we can pinpoint the culprit. Let's go ahead and back him up. And let's get in there. And let's see, so that's a remote control, like that gyro right there. Is he supposed to have a red light? Or are they supposed to have green lights? But I can't get at him. I either have to get rid of the sensor or the remote control. Let's get rid of the remote control. Now, one thing I didn't do is set up any, like, I don't think I did. I think I might have set up some groups in the original blueprint, but since we didn't place any of this stuff using that blueprint, I don't think it will matter. So we're going to have to do all that stuff after the fact. Okay, so that gyro is good. So if I get rid of this block below, let's see, there's only 8 gyros. Let's see if it'll let us get at it. Is it that one? No, that one looks done too. So that's done. That's the projector block. Okay. So there's one behind there. Now the good thing is all this stuff will hopefully just be built again by our welder ship here in a second. So even if I have to remove parts, it's not a huge deal, because it can put them back. Okay. That gyro we can see as well, and it is done. I have no idea. So it's got to be up here. I mean, truthfully, I guess I can just take these blocks away from this angle. That gyro's not done, so maybe that was the one. Well, it's probably the one that was incomplete, and hopefully that was what was keeping this guy from doing his job. So we should be able to just go back in, and now we have to let him do all that again. But hopefully... My dampener's on? Yep. Hopefully I can do that, and then if I go in with my hand welder... Now, I didn't put it in, but I could probably do it quicker by hand than he can. Okay. So let's get to the next step. Alright, one last little test here. Just seeing if he'll try to weld anything, but he looks like he is done. Oh, nope, something in there. What is it, boy? What'd you find? Something's not complete. Don't kill me. Let's take another look inside. Now, if it's something that needs to be completed, it isn't something that would show up in here. So maybe... What is it that you're finishing? Or is he trying to weld stuff that he can't? Like because there's blocks that are in the way of other blocks? I don't know. I'm going to assume he's done. We'll assume everything is well. I don't trust welders. Okay. So what we do now is take another... I mean, we could just keep rotating the same blueprint. But that would mean we'd have to rotate it 2 more times, where if I take a snapshot of this guy, we can rotate it again. Now what I don't know is, like, does control copy work? And then say I go to this, and I go replace with clipboard. If I do that, it didn't instantly update, so I don't think that changed anything. If it had, I should have seen, I think, the new ship. Let's try. Now let's try just rotating it. Oops. So let's take that projector. Oops, wrong key. Take that projector and we'll go into roll it, I think, is what we want to do. So let's see what happens if we just do that. Okay, so that is not the same. That's not the blueprint I want. So we'll just take a new one. Control B. And that should make another one. So I'm wondering if there's a way to consolidate to prevent this stuff from happening. But maybe not. Alright, so then we go projector, that, blueprints, we take our new one. Where'd it go? Okay, it's there. Aha, it worked. Except it looks like it is currently upside down. But anyway, let's take it, roll it. Let's see if that's actually rolling it the right way. No. It should, shouldn't it? Trying to see what's happening down there. Let's just try one of the other ones. That looks wrong. Pitch, definitely wrong. See, this is where the pivot point is going to be useful. And had I had it in a better spot, like 180 degrees shouldn't be it. Like we should have to rotate it 90, I would think. And what I want to see is we're going to have to rotate it, but also shift it. Okay, so that's the problem. That is rotating it correctly, but it's rotating it off that pivot point. So now we have to adjust left and then up again. So what I would ideally like to do is get those pivot, or at least the pivot point of this guy set up, so that he is in the center of this thing. Or at the center of, I think he would have to be at the center, and I think that this plus sign would have to be facing this way. And then we should be able to roll it around without having to adjust. That's the goal, but we're not there yet. Okay, so let me bring him up to where he needs to be. So that's gonna be, let's see here. Move him over 1. See if I can get this right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 8. Let's try that. 8. Might have gotten that wrong, probably. So projector. So that would be horizontal. So that should bring it below us. And then we want to bring it up. Yeah. Ooh, okay. Actually, we're close. We can see the buttons. So I think I actually brought it 1 too many. Oops. 1, 2 more. 1 less. More. Right there. I think we're close. Are we low? Yeah, it looks like we're low. So we got to bring it up 1 more. And then we continue welding. Let's try that. Horizontal? Oh, I hate it when I grab it, it like moves. No, 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 vertical is what I want. Is that right? That looks proper. Yes. Okay, so that should work. And now we just have to basically weld it again. And then what we're going to do is armor the outside. And then from there, we'll rotate that armor that we do 3 more times to get the remainder of the ship. Few more stubborn areas. Okay, but overall, I think we've got what we want. I mean, these blocks right here are all, we don't actually need them. In fact, let's color them yellow right now. That way we know. Can you color a block if it's not done? I'm not too sure. But that way we could just, we know we got to take them out. And why don't I just put those in there? That way it doesn't try to place them. And I'll color you and you. I'll put another one there. Since it's trying to put them there anyway, why don't we just help it along? There we go. And then they're yellow now, so we'll know that we can remove them once we're all done. So we could use that as a little marker. So there we have it. He's, for the most part, done. I think he's got everything he needs to be the ship we want him to be. The only thing he is missing is his outer shell. So I think that's what we'll do next. I'll probably try to time-lapse some of that as well, so that we don't have to... Otherwise it's going to take a whole episode just to do this one panel. But we can get going. So I think what we'll do is we'll do between this thruster and this thruster, and then we'll copy the blueprint and rotate it around. So let me get set up, and I'll get the armor blocks I need. I don't need any of this stuff in me anymore. All I want is steel plates. Brilliant. Okay, so let's get going. I'll see how much I can do just off of like reference images. So up to there, we're going to do that, and then we come out like so. But then we're going to switch to heavy armor, at least we used to. That provided some protection to the outer part. And then we go down 2, and we cap that off like so. And then we do something else in the other part, but we'll get there. Okay, so I need to do the same thing over here. And, well, yeah, I still don't know what happens after that. Like right here beside the thing. We'll have to wait. 1, 2, and yoink. Okay. Next part, which is heavy armor as well, is around this. So I think we could go ahead and place that. This we actually want to be black. Let's go ahead and bring up a custom color. And we'll make that black. And I think we'll use... Where's it go? Yeah, 3 there. 3 there. And then we're going to go slanties. Slanty, slanty. And then we got red again. Down the middle. Aha! And then that angles down both ways. And then we can switch back to the black. And I think we have to do the same thing, but we also have to embed that in there. And I think it just goes to a point. But I'm not sure. Oh, this might be actually where we have some flashlights. So, not flashlights, lights, spotlights. So why don't we make room for those? This is supposed to be red. It goes like that. And let's just quickly replace that with that. And there we go. So that's where the lights are. From there forward, we'll have to take a better look. So here, we're going to do the exact same thing going the other way. And there's a small change I made. There used to be thrusters where this space is right here. But that large cargo actually took up more space than the old design, so it's not actually there. I think that's okay. We might actually use that opportunity to do that instead. Because I don't know if it was... No, I guess that was like that. But there used to be a thruster basically right here, which there's no longer space for. Oops, should have put that block there. Okay, so we can kind of see him starting to take shape. The rest is just how it wraps around his arms, so that might be a bit tricky. How do we do? Okay, so we can take light armor. We can take red. It starts to curve upwards from here. At least part of it does. So let me get a better angle here so we can work on some more of him. Okay, so from here it goes, I think. What are you? You are not supposed to be there. Goes like that, and then it starts to bevel up, and this kind of meets up with this guy, or it should. Let's see. Oh, no, wait, that's why that doesn't line up. That's not the right part. It's like, no wonder that didn't work. And nothing is lining up. So from there to there, and that should meet up right with that thruster. Which it is, so that looks good. So then we just do the same thing down here. So right there. We're laughing. And then this changes a little bit. The front is going to be a bit different because we lost our cockpit. And we're changing things up a bit from there. Let's see if we could do some of the arms. Okay, so from this thruster... From the center point, it looks like we can just start coming up with it. So we're going to avoid using heavy armor anywhere we don't think like an impact will really matter. And I don't think an impact is going to matter back here. That looks like it's supposed to be like that, actually. Which means... What are you supposed to do? You don't look like you're supposed to do anything. Okay, so one other change I made that I just realized now is these drills are actually 1 block further ahead than they were in the old design, which means these thrusters aren't quite lining up where I expected them to. What we could do about that is either get rid of this and just add in 1 more thruster to make up for it, or we could muck up the design a bit. So this used to go like that. But then that used to go connect right up to him. So what if we change it so that... We'll just do that instead. And then it's supposed to start beveling outwards anyway. Here I would like to switch back to gray, I think. And then it starts going that way. And here we want black. Why does it get rid of this color? I want you to stay black. Stay black. Like so. Now, I don't know... Here we might put heavy armor, because this is going to be on the outside, and it might scrape against the asteroid. So I think it used to be heavy armor, and I think it would be a good idea to do it again. So like so. And again, I only have to really go from this center line to this way. So I don't have to do this side, but I do have to do the equivalent, which is this side over here. So let me go ahead and wrap this up, because it's going to take way too long to do the armor, even just as is. So let me get this done as quickly as I can, and then hopefully we can show the process of how we're going to replicate his armor. We probably won't have time to finish it all, but we'll see how much we can get done. Okay, I think it's just about done here. The rest we could probably just do by hand. So some of it we can't cover anymore, like that thruster. There's no way to place a block around that thruster to hide it any better. So he's pretty much stuck the way he is. We could throw some more blocks right in here to give it a completed look. So why don't we do that? But remember, we only have to do a quarter of it. Here we could do the same thing. If I could tell which way that block is rotated. And we might do... We should only have to do it once as well. Like either there or there. We don't have to do both. We'll experiment. And then we could fill in the rest of that. So from here, I don't think we really need to use heavy armor for the most part. Now I'm doing something a little bit different here than I did in my the original build. So this used to just continue, like it didn't have these diagonal parts. But that's kind of because I stretched everything a bit forward here at the front. So normally this would just come down like that, but there'd be none of these blocks below it that we'd be seeing. So I think it's probably best to just do that and cover them up. It's going to change the aspect of what this guy does, but we'll see if we like it or hate it once it's done. So from here, I could probably not use heavy armor. We could just do that, and we could do something like that, or we could try to cover that up. Maybe something like that, and then just like that, or like that. And if we did that, then we'd have to change this guy that I'm looking at. So why don't we just do that instead, because that maintains that look. And we do the same thing right here. Yoink. And that was... What's this block technically called? Inverted corner. I guess that makes sense. Okay. So it's missing a corner. Bam. So that could be done like that. What we might want to do is do this or something instead and have that poke forward. In which case we'd want to get rid of that. And we'd probably want to do... that. So that might be better. Let's leave that, because that has this similar look going here. And what we should actually do is, let's just extend this. So instead of doing this little wonky tapered edge thing that I'm trying to do, let's do that a different way. So before, what do I have? Black. So let's just fill those in with regular blocks, or at least those two, and then like so, get the red. So instead of this section being only 3 wide, it's just going to be 4 wide, so we're just stretching it a little bit. Let's do that, and then we're done with the red, and then we could seal that up. I think that will probably be better. It keeps the overall look the same without that beveled part. So it's a bit different because it's longer, but it's the same also because it's the same. And I forgot the light again. Red? Red. Yoink. Bam. Okay. So from here, we should be able to rotate it further along, weld, rinse, repeat. But I believe we're out of time for today, so we didn't quite get it done. Looks like I'm still not done up here. So I'll finish that before we get to the next stage. Another thing I want to try to do is play around with footprint manipulation in a survival setting. So how can we move this? I know we can do it in creative. So one way I know of is by copying and pasting. So if we go ahead and make a new small ship, like so, we can see the footprint. Or what's this thing called again? The pivot point. We can kind of see where it is. And, oops, I can't place it. But essentially it's at the tip of the landing gear. And the green arrows faces forward, the red faces to the right, and the blue faces up relative to that. So what I want to find out, and I already did a quick test, so maybe you guys can tell me more. What do you need to place? Construction component. Okay, give me construction component. So what I want to find out, so in creative mode, if I went like this, we took this guy, and I basically went up to a ship, and I went copy from whichever point I'm looking at with my cursor. So if I'm looking at this thruster here, I could hit Control Copy, and then when I go to paste that ship, it's going to place this surface that I'm looking at wherever I end up pointing at. So if I then went Control Paste and was looking here, it would try to paste that thruster, that side of the thruster, to be like that. So what we would end up roughly, if these buttons weren't there, poor example, let me grab a landing gear. So what we would do, okay, let's say instead I looked right here, right? And then I want to paste that onto that landing gear. It should end up like this when said and done. And what would end up happening is this pivot point of the ship I just pasted would become the pivot point of this landing gear. So if I just pasted that ship, that pivot point we used to be dealing with would no longer be there, and I believe it would be transferred. The new pivot point of that ship would become the one that we pasted. And they showed a bit of that in the update video as well on how to do that. So I'm wondering how we could do that in a survival setting. So if I wanted to try to manipulate the pivot point of this guy so that we could do what we were talking about, what's the best way of achieving that? I quickly tried to, in a creative world, try to use merge blocks to connect like this guy to a merge block, which was basically a landing gear, like so. And I placed the merge block in such a manner that this would become where I want it to. But what ended up happening is as soon as it merged to this, this guy lost its pivot point, and its pivot point just became whatever this one was already. So I think it might be whichever has the largest amount of blocks or the biggest grid size will decide on which is the pivot point that it keeps. So if that's the case, maybe we can use that and create a temporary mounting point that has more blocks than, say, this coupling. And then we can merge that coupling onto this block here and hopefully in the process manipulate its pivot point. And then from there on, when we copy this guy like we've done, its pivot point will be in hopefully a better position that we can manipulate it easier. Anyway, I don't know if any of that's making sense, if you guys get what I'm trying to talk about, or if you know already the outcome of what I'm talking about. But we're going to leave it here. Molar. What are you? Are you a molar still? You're kind of a molar. A drone molar. With no cockpit. He looks kind of better without a cockpit. He looks kind of like a spider or something. One single eye. But anyway, guys, that'll be it for today. What I'm going to do is probably just weld all this up for the next episode. And then we'll do our copy-paste. We'll make sure everything's how we want it. And then we'll do another copy. And then we'll start rotating this thing around and pasting. And then we'll get Molar D, I guess. Molar drone up and running. And hopefully use him, her, to get more ores quicker than we currently are.